So this section is going to be from chapter 11, cell communication. And this is one of the more difficult topics. Lots of new information coming in. This chapter is always changing in the new edition. So if you have an older edition, you want to just be a little bit careful. I will tell you that, especially on the cell communication section, I will be pretty much going off of my PowerPoint. So anything extra in the textbook, I would not, definitely wouldn't worry about. All right, so cell communication again is kind of complex. We have a couple of different ideas here. The first one, you can see a cheetah bee chasing an impala, and they're trying to show you how the impala is getting a signal that he's going to die. So these things start to react, and you can see epinephrine is that signal molecule, which we call a ligand. You want to know that term, ligand, L-I-G-A-N-D. It's not actually, for some reason, not on a lot of the slides, so I want to make sure you know that one. But then a signal transduction where things are changed and activated, and eventually the cell response, and the one they're showing you is glycogen being broken down into glucose to fuel the heartbeat and all those other things that this animal is experiencing, trying to get away. So that's kind of the concept we're going to be looking for overall. Down on the bottom, that's a picture of bacteria. And what you're seeing is a bunch of rod-shaped individuals are communicating amongst themselves to actually start to rise. And what you're actually seeing is the beginning of what we call a fruiting body. This is actually reproductive for bacteria. But anyway, so kind of the idea behind it. So what I want to do on this one is really kind of just start with talking about the types of communication between cells that can occur. And so here what we have is a couple of different ideas. Up on top, I want you to understand that animal cells, remember we talked about the three different connections between them. The one where they really communicate is called a gap junction. That's where there's openings between molecules and ions and things can pass through, even share cytosol. And so that concept is pretty simple. So it's a gap junction. In a plant, it is a plasmodesma or plasmodesmata for multiple, and that is a break in the cell wall. And so again, you're looking at something very similar to a gap junction where ions and cytosol and things like that can pass through. The bottom one here, you're seeing cell surface molecules are communicating. And we're going to talk about this more when we talk about membranes. Typically, the way the chapters are set up, chapter 11 comes after chapter 7. So we'll get to that later. But that's also a direct contact. Cell-cell communication is basically what that is. All right, so let's talk about local signaling. There are two different types. And what that means is they're right next to each other. They may not be touching like in the previous, that's the direct contact, but they're not very far. Paracrine signaling is the first one where you have something secreting a signal cell. So again, that term I want you to know is kind of ligand, L-I-G-A-N-D. And then it diffuses across and then hits target cells that are right next to it. I always, for this one, I think of a pancreas, which is not the same term, but if you know anything about the digestive system, the pancreas actually kind of wraps inside the intestines, not inside, but around the outside of the intestines and small intestine, and actually is secreting enzymes into the small intestine for digestion. So that's kind of a way of thinking of it. The next one is synaptic. And that happens in our nervous system. And we talked about a little bit about synapses, I guess, not much, but here again, we have vesicles that fuse to the membrane here and release the neurotransmitters that then will go across to the target cell, which is typically either, it can be another neuron or it can be something else is attached to, but anyway, so again, what we're trying to get out of this one is the signaling cell, the ligand, is not moving very far, very, very close little gaps between. All right, and then the last one is distance signaling, and this is hormone. This is where you have an endocrine cell or gland that release hormones, and they will travel through, typically through your circulatory system, and then they will work somewhere else. And here they're showing, they actually don't even tell you what it is, but it could be something like testosterone, estrogen, those kinds of things that can be released and then move down to the gonads. So this one's a little bit longer distance is the whole point. All right, so the last thing on this little recording is the signal transduction pathway. There's really kind of 3 basic steps. Now these steps can get kind of complicated, and we're going to try to keep it as simple as possible. But I want you to know there's 3 steps: reception, transduction, and response. I want you to know the different receptors. I want you to know how they work. I want to know the transduction, what that means, and then basically the response. So I always do it this way, kind of thinking about it. So you know, I always joke, just like when my daughter was little and it worked. It doesn't work anymore, but somebody knocks on the door, that would be the signal. And so what they're doing is they're looking for me. They're trying to get me to come to the door or to do something. And so what transduction could be, so the knock on the door, transduction actually could be, you know, my daughter who answers the door and then has to come get me. So there's a process in between, and then the response is me either going to the door or telling my neighbors to, you know, get lost, one of the two, I suppose. So that's the idea behind this. Now, I just want to let you know that, again, we're going to touch this at a very superficial level. Our bio-8 cell molecular class would hopefully go over this in a lot more detail than what we're doing. And at one point, Bio4 wasn't really covering this stuff. And then we thought it's probably, if you don't take bio-8, or probably a good introduction before you jump into bio-8. And so we decided to include it. So again, the signal molecule here, I don't know why they don't label this as a ligand, L-I-G-A-N-D. So we will, on that, stop the share, and we will stop the recording.